BeatMaker's the squad. FabFilter dropped for iOS a couple days ago. You know I had to get it, and you know we're gonna get into it. So without any further ado, let's get into this. Today we're looking at the FabFilter Pro Q2 for iOS. Let's start at the top. On the left hand side, you will see the logo and the title, which is next to the undo and redo buttons, which allow you to undo and redo changes within the plugin itself. Next to that, you will find the A/B switch, which allows you to make an A/B comparison of changes made within the plugin, sort of like a before and after switch. Next to that, you will see the copy button, which allows you to copy settings from A to B and vice versa. Next, you will see the drop-down menu, as well as navigation arrows for Pro Q2's presets. Next to that, you will find the app's help and support drop-down menu, where you can access the FabFilter website, support page, where you can find, read, and download the manual, and the About page. Basically, the display works in the same way as an XY coordinate plane, where the horizontal axis corresponds to the frequencies from low to high, left to right respectively, and the vertical axis corresponds to the volume of those frequencies from low to high or bottom to top respectively. FabFilter allows you to add up to 24 bands of equalization. Adding a band is as easy as tapping and raising or lowering your finger. Depending upon where you choose to add, your EQ band will determine what kind of band is selected by default. When a band is added, the band controls appear directly under it. In the band control module, you will find the following options: power button, band type selector. This allows you to choose between different types of bands, including bell, low shelf, low cut, high shelf, high cut, notch, band pass, and tilt shelf. Next, you will see the decibel per octave selector. This allows you to change the steepness of the slope on each band, thus allowing you to be more detailed in shaping your sound. Next, you will see the frequency dial. This changes the frequency being adjusted. You'll also notice that when you change the frequency, the control module will also move along with it. Next to that, you will see the gain controls. These are not accessible in the high cut, low cut, notch, or band pass filters. The gain controls allows you to boost or cut the chosen frequency. Next to that is the Q control. With the Q control, you can make sharper or broader cuts or additions in your bands. With a higher Q value, you'll have a more precise cut. With a lower Q value, you'll have more of a broader cut. Next to that, you'll see the band selector, which allows you to switch between bands using the left and right arrows. The bands are not ordered from left to right, rather they are ordered by when you create them. Next to that, you will see the left-right controls. This allows you to use the band to either equalize both left and right channels or either channel individually. And next to that, you will see the delete button, which deletes the chosen band. At the bottom of the display, you will see numbers that correspond to the frequencies from hertz to kilohertz. In the bottom left-hand corner, there's a keyboard icon that with the press will allow you to see the musical notes that correspond to the frequencies. If you'd like to zoom in on a particular band, you can use horizontal zoom. Horizontal zoom is achieved by placing your finger on the bottom of the display and swiping up. When you lift your finger, the analyzer will still be zoomed in. To zoom back out, simply place your finger at the bottom of the display and swipe down. You may need to do it multiple times to return to the original zoom settings. Also, you can scroll across the spectrum by placing your finger at the bottom of the display and swiping either left or right when the display is zoomed in. Next to the keyboard icon, you will find the MIDI Learn options, which will allow you to map MIDI controllers to different controls within the plugin. Also, if you press the arrow next to MIDI Learn, you will access the options allowing you to enable or disable MIDI control, reverse revert to a previous state, or even save the MIDI settings. Next to that, you will find the processing mode, which allows you to choose between zero latency, natural phase, and linear phase. These modes change the way in which the equalizer responds to sound being fed through it. I would suggest downloading the manual and going to the processing mode chapter in order to get a more in-depth explanation of the modes. Next to that, you will find the channel mode settings, which allow you to choose between left, right, and mid-side. According to the manual, when in mid-side mode, the incoming signal is converted to mid or mono and side parts, which you're then allowed to shape independently. When you choose mid-side mode, you will notice that the LR option on the band controls changes to MS. Next to that, you will find the spectrum analyzer and EQ match options. The pre-post and SC or sidechain buttons allow you to enable or disable the pre-EQ, post-EQ, and sidechain spectrum analysis. If the global bypass button is enabled, then the display will not show anything as the effect is being bypassed. So right now I'm just going to play some music so you guys can see how the pre and post EQ buttons work. Right now what you're seeing is solely the post EQ. So this is how the audio appears after the EQ. Now you're seeing the pre and the post, and you can see that there are parts that have appeared that weren't there before. Now I'll take away the post, and this is how it appears before the EQ. Now I'll toggle the sidechain, which is just simply, at this point, is just the same audio that's being fed through for the pre. As you can see, the pre and the sidechain are identical. The range settings change the vertical range of the spectrum analyzer from 60 decibels, 90 decibels, and 120 decibels. By default, the range is set to 60 decibels. The resolution setting changes the precision of the analyzer. Higher settings will give a more precise analysis in the lower frequency areas, but it will also take a bit longer to refresh. So as you can see right now, we have it on maximum resolution. This is high resolution, medium resolution, and low resolution. The speed settings select how long the spectrum will take to let the visual representation of the frequencies disappear from the screen, allowing the user to have more time with the spectrum. So as you can see right now, the speed is set to very fast, and the spectrum is falling quite quickly. If I change that to fast, you'll see it'll fall a bit slower, medium, even slower, slow, and now very slow. The tilt setting, and this is directly from the menu, tilts the measured spectrum around 1 kHz with a specified slope expressed in decibels per octave. The default setting of 4.5 decibels per octave results in a natural looking spectrum, resembling best how loudness is perceived by the ear. I can't really give a clear explanation of what that means, but when I change the tilt setting, I notice that the spectrum makes it appear as if the sounds going through are louder as seen here. So now I'm going to change this to 6 decibels per octave. So you can see it gets lower. When I change this to 3, you'll see it gets higher. 1.5 even higher. And 0 even higher. Below that, you will see the freeze button. The freeze button will freeze the display, allowing you to see exactly the maximum values across the spectrum over time. You'll notice that the display does not move, but it does increase in value as the different frequencies are played at higher volumes. The next button is the Spectrum Grab button. When enabled, you can long press the display and a Pro Q will enter Spectrum Grab mode, which will freeze the display, allowing you to see the peaks and then allowing you to place bands and shape your sound with even more detail. So let's see this in action. So I've just enabled the Spectrum Grab mode. I'm going to long press on the screen below the yellow line. As you can see, it's now frozen. Now what I can do is I can simply choose the exact frequency maybe I want to use. Maybe it's right here at about 500. And now to choose a band, and I can go and I can cut that out. And if I want to, I can go up from the bottom and zoom in to get even more detailed view. Next to the Spectrum Grab button, we have the EQ Match button. This tool will allow you to match the EQ of a reference spectrum. So for example, if you recorded something previously and you were able to achieve a great sound with it, now you can use that sound as a reference so the Pro Q can analyze the sound and reproduce the settings. In order to do this, you must first choose your reference by choosing your reference file or input. My initial suggestion would be, once you've created a sound that you would like to reproduce, run the final sound through the Pro Q and choose Save Input as Reference Spectrum. The only issue that I've run into so far is that once you select Save Input as Reference Spectrum, there does not appear to actually save the reference spectrum because there's no dialog which allows you to name it. And when going back to searching for the file, the options still read No Saved Reference Spectrum. There could be something that I'm doing incorrectly here. If so, kindly let me know in the comments. But using this feature will allow the EQ to analyze the sound you have going through it and match the peaks across the spectrum. To do this, first choose EQ Match. Next, choose your reference input. So I'm going to choose just the input here. After that, when you're ready, select Match. After that, use the slider to populate spectrum bands that will match the audio. Lower values on the left and higher values on the right. Once you are done, select Finish and you will have access to the bands that you created. Finally, we have the output options. In this tab, you can adjust the output volume and pan. You can also turn on global bypass, phase invert, auto gain, and the output level meter on the right hand side of the screen. So first we'll start with the global bypass, which is the square with the line above it. Global bypass essentially turns the plugin off. Phase invert flips the phase of the incoming audio. Auto gain compensates for increases and loss in volume as a result of EQing. Output level metering allows you to display or hide the output level meter on the right hand side of the display. For the volume and panning, double tap on the knob to reset it to its default values, or you can long press in order to pull up the keyboard and type in a value that you would like. So that concludes my overview of the FabFilter Pro Q2. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best EQs that I've ever used, be it on a computer, iOS, whatever. So as usual, I hope that the information I shared was helpful for you. If there was anything that I omitted or anything that you still have questions for, or if you have any ideas for another video, please leave it in the comment section below. Also, if you decide to buy this app today, I will ask that you use the link in the description, as I'm an Apple affiliate, and I will get a percentage of the sale, and that's just a quick and easy way that you can support the BeatMakers Squad page. Also, if you're looking for sounds for BeatMaker 3 or Korg Gadget, you can find those on my website at beatmakeristhesquad.com. The link is below in the description. Also, please take a little time and hit that thumbs up button, and definitely remember to subscribe. It's your boy Cheese Producing. I'm signing off for BeatMakers Squad. Peace.